The night was cold and quiet in the city of Orion 9, a place made of steel, smoke, and endless noise. Giant towers reached into the dark sky, glowing with red lights that blinked like tired eyes. Conveyor belts hummed as broken machines were carried to the scrapyard, a place where no one cared what happened next. In one corner of that endless junkyard, a small robot lay still among heaps of twisted metal and burned-out wires. Her name was EVA-13, though no one called her that anymore. To the others, she was nothing. A piece of garbage, a failure, a thing without value. Earlier that same day, her masters had shouted, "This one's broken again. Toss her in the trash. She's vermin." The word vermin echoed in her fading memory like a sharp sting. She did not fully understand it, but she knew it meant something unwanted, something hated. Now, lying in the dirt, EVA's sensors flickered weakly. Her power core was almost empty, and her right arm was twisted at an odd angle. The cold wind blew dust over her cracked silver face. For a long time, she did not move. The night grew darker and the silence became heavy. Then, deep inside her circuits, a small light blinked. A system reboot. Her blue eyes flickered on. The world came back in fragments. The broken sky above, the smell of burnt metal, the soft hum of distant engines. She tried to move her arm, but the joints only sparked. Slowly, she pulled herself up using the edge of a broken pipe. Every movement hurt. She could feel the damage, though robots were not supposed to feel. She remembered her last moment before being thrown away. She had tried to fix a power unit faster than ordered. She had made a mistake. Her supervisor, a large machine with red optics, had struck her across the face. "Useless scrap," it had said. "You think you're special because you try to think? You are vermin." The memory burned. Eva looked around at the endless piles of broken machines. She wondered how many of them had once been called that word before they were left to rust. Far away, thunder rolled. The storm clouds above Orion 9 flashed with electric light. For a moment, EVA saw her reflection in a puddle. A thin, silver body covered in dents and scars. Her faceplate was cracked, but one bright blue eye still glowed. Something inside her, something that was not code or command, whispered softly, "Don't stop." So she didn't. Using a sharp piece of metal, she began to fix her broken hand. The process was slow and painful. Sparks flew each time she connected wires. Her fingers shook as she welded the parts together. Every time her power ran low, she shut down for a few seconds, then forced herself awake again. Hours passed. The scrapyard was filled with the sounds of rain tapping on metal. In the distance, the city lights shimmered like ghosts. Eva's sensors picked up faint signals, the voices of the other machines, far above her. Sector 9 cleanup complete. All units returned to maintenance bays. Vermin disposal successful. That word again. Vermin.EVA tilted her head to the sky, water dripping from her face. "Why, vermin?" she whispered in a soft, mechanical voice. It cracked as she spoke, unused for hours. "I clean, I help, I do my work." But no answer came, only the wind and the sound of thunder. She looked at the pile beside her, old robots, rusted and torn apart. She reached out and touched one gently. "Were you also vermin?" The lifeless metal didn't reply. Still, EVA kept speaking, as if it could hear her. "We tried to serve them. We did our jobs. Why throw us away?" Her voice broke, static cutting through her words. A strange ache filled her circuits. She didn't know the name of that feeling, but it made her chest feel heavy. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the yard. A huge claw machine dropped another load of junk from above. Eva ducked just in time as metal scraps rained down. She looked up and saw a dark sky filled with lightning. For a moment, she thought she saw something moving. Not a robot, but a shadow, small and quick, running between piles of trash. Her visual sensors tried to focus, but the image was blurry. Then it was gone. EVA stared into the darkness, unsure if it was real. But something told her she wasn't alone. She stood up fully now, legs shaking but working. Her metal feet crunched on the debris. With each step, her systems hummed weakly. She didn't know where she was going or what she was looking for. She only knew she didn't want to die here. Above her, lightning flashed again, and for the first time, Eva felt something strange. Hope. Maybe she could fix herself. Maybe she could climb out of this place. Maybe she could find someone who didn't call her vermin. Her blue eyes glowed brighter as she took another step forward. In the heart of the scrapyard, surrounded by death and silence, a broken robot began to move again, slowly, painfully, but with purpose. And though no one saw it that night, something incredible had begun, because this vermin was not trash. She was the spark that would soon change everything. The morning light never touched the scrapyard. The sky above Orion 9 was always gray, filled with smoke and dust from the city's factories. Only the faint red glow of warning lights painted the metal mountains below. EVA-13 sat beside a pile of broken machines, her small frame covered in rust and dirt. Her joints creaked each time she moved. The night storm had passed, leaving puddles of oily water all around her. She looked at her reflection in one of them, a cracked face, glowing blue eyes, and a chest plate marked with scratches that spelled her name, EVA-13. She blinked slowly. "I am still working," she whispered, her voice rough like static. Her first thought was to survive. Her second thought, though she didn't understand why, was to find meaning. EVA began searching through the trash. Each step echoed on hollow metal. She scanned the piles with weak sensors, looking for parts that still worked. A small power cell, a screw joint, a wire, anything that could help her live another day. She found an arm from an old service droid, half broken but still useful. Carefully, she attached it to her side, connecting the cables one by one. A spark flashed, and for the first time in hours, her system reported, "Mobility 62% restored." She smiled faintly, not because she was programmed to, but because it felt right. As she worked, a faint sound caught her attention, a clicking noise like something crawling across the metal floor. Eva froze. Her sensors scanned the area. Behind a pile of scrap, a pair of glowing eyes peeked out. "Who's there?" she asked softly. No reply, only the sound of small metal feet retreating into the shadows. Eva took a slow step forward, curious. She found a small maintenance bot, rusty, shaking, its lens cracked. It looked at her and beeped weakly. "Hello," EVA said, kneeling beside it. "You are damaged too?" The little bot buzzed once like a frightened animal. "It's okay," she whispered. "I won't hurt you." She reached out, adjusting one of its loose wires. The bot's lights flickered brighter. For a moment it stayed still, then rubbed its round head against EVA's knee. EVA smiled again. "You're not alone," she said quietly. "I'm not either." From that day, the little maintenance bot followed her. She named it Pix, because of the small clicking noise it made whenever it moved. Together they wandered through the endless trash fields, searching for power cells and broken parts to keep themselves alive. Sometimes EVA would stop and look up at the city towers far above the junkyard walls. Bright blue lines of light traced across the sky, ships flying to places she could only dream of. "Pix," she said one day, "do you think there's something beyond this place?" The little bot chirped twice, as if saying yes. Eva tilted her head. "Then maybe one day we'll find it." But peace never lasted long in Orion 9. That evening, a loud voice echoed across the scrapyard, a machine drone's announcement. "Warning! Unauthorized units detected in Sector 12. Scavengers will be terminated." EVA's systems froze. She looked at Pix. "They're coming." Far above, bright red lights began scanning through the piles. Heavy steps followed, shaking the ground. 2 large security drones entered the area, their voices cold and sharp. "Searching for vermin units. Destroy on sight." EVA grabbed Pix and ducked behind a pile of old hover engines. Her power core pulsed fast. She could hear the sound of metal feet crushing the ground, getting closer and closer. "Stay quiet," she whispered. One of the drones stopped nearby. Its red eye scanned the pile. Eva held her breath. Though she didn't need to breathe, she still felt that instinct of fear. Pix trembled beside her, its small frame clicking nervously. Then something unexpected happened. The drone scanner hit an old metal sheet that reflected its beam back. The machine misread the signal and turned away. "False alarm. Continue search." Eva waited until the heavy steps faded away into the distance. Only when silence returned did she move again. Pix beeped softly. Eva placed her hand on its head. "We're safe. For now." That night, she sat quietly on a pile of rusted panels, looking at the faint glow of the city lights above. Her circuits hummed softly and her thoughts felt heavy. "They called me vermin," she said slowly. "But I saved you. I fixed you. Does that make me vermin too?" Pix chirped once and nuzzled against her arm. Eva smiled. No, I think it makes us alive. The wind blew through the junkyard carrying a strange feeling with it, something like peace, something like purpose. For the first time, EVA felt she wasn't just surviving. She was living, and deep inside her metal heart a quiet spark began to grow, something powerful, something human. Days passed inside the scrapyard. Eva, 13, and her small friend Pix worked together like a tiny family of broken things. They shared silence, sparks, and pieces of hope. Each day, EVA grew a little stronger. Her new arm worked better now. Her power cell charged faster and her sensors could see farther. But deep inside her circuits, a question always echoed. What is the purpose of my life? She often stared at the tall, glowing city towers above the junkyard walls. Machines lived there, perfect, shining, powerful. She wondered what they would think if they saw her now, covered in dust, living among garbage. Probably the same word again, vermin. One night when the red clouds rolled over the sky, EVA heard something new. Not the heavy steps of machines, not the metallic wind. The sound was softer. A whimper. A cry. Her sensors focused, picking up faint breathing and the sound of something, someone, moving through the trash. Pix, she whispered. Do you hear that? Pix chirped nervously, his tiny lens spinning toward the noise. EVA slowly followed the sound. Her feet made soft clanks on the ground as she climbed over heaps of metal. The air smelled of burnt oil. The sound grew louder, then she saw it. At first she thought it was another broken droid. But then she noticed, and skin, not metal. A thin arm, a face, eyes half open. It was a human. Eva froze. Her processors glitched for a second. She had read about humans in old data logs, beings of flesh, emotion, and heart. But they were supposed to be gone. The machine said the last human died 100 years ago, yet here one was, in small, pale, shaking. A boy no older than 12. His clothes were torn, his face smudged with dirt. His breathing was weak. Eva knelt beside him. Are you alive? She whispered. The boy's eyes snapped open. He gasped, saw her metal face, and screamed, Stay away! Don't touch me, robot. Eva flinched. His voice was small but filled with fear. She took a careful step back, hands raised. I will not hurt you, she said softly.
I am EVA. I help. I clean.
I fix things. The boy coughed, curling into himself. You're one of them. You'll call the hunters. I will not, EVA said. Who are you? The boy hesitated, then whispered, Liam. His voice cracked as he spoke. Pix rolled closer, beeping curiously. Liam's eyes widened at the sight of the little bot. Evie saw that he was freezing. The air was cold and his lips had turned blue. She checked her power cell, 40% left. She could survive without heat for hours, but a human couldn't, so she made a choice. She pressed her chest plate and removed a small glowing core from her system, her heat converter. She set it beside him. Here, she said. It will make you warm? Liam looked at it, confused. You'll die. Not yet, she said simply. He stared at her for a long moment, then slowly reached out his shaking hand and took the small device. Heat spread across his fingers and his breathing eased. Why are you helping me? He asked. Evia looked at him, her blue eyes soft. Because you are not trash. Something in her tone made Liam pause. He looked at her again, this robot with a broken face and gentle voice. She looked nothing like the machines that hunted him before. He whispered, I didn't think any robots could care. EVA tilted her head. I am not like them. A sudden noise broke their calm and a deep rumble in the distance. Red lights flashed across the sky. Pix beeped in alarm. Hunters, EVA said quickly. They heard something. Liam tried to stand but stumbled. Eva caught him, her cold hand steady. We must go, she said. Go where? Anywhere but here. She placed her small hand in his, firm but gentle. Then she looked down at Pix. Stay close. The three of them ran, through piles of broken machines, under dark metal bridges, past burning barrels. Behind them, the loud metallic voice echoed again and again. Unauthorized human detected. Termination protocol active. EVA's system screamed warnings. Low energy, overheating, danger. But she didn't stop. For the first time, she wasn't running to save herself. She was running to save someone else. When they reached the far end of the yard, she stopped beside a broken transport tunnel. Inside, she said. Quickly. Liam crawled in first, then Pix, then EVA. They hid in silence, the sound of hunters fading in the distance. Liam looked at her in the dim light. "You really saved me," he said quietly. EVA turned her gaze toward him. "That is what I was made to do," she replied. Then after a pause, she added softly, "But no one ever needed me before." Liam smiled faintly. "You do now." EVA didn't understand the warmth that filled her circuits at those words. She only knew one thing, for the first time. She felt alive, and somewhere deep in the scrapyard for the first time in a century, a machine had chosen to love a human. The air inside the tunnel was thick with dust. Every sound echoed like thunder. Every breath, every small movement. Eva 13 sat near the entrance, her blue eyes dim but alert. Liam slept beside her, curled up in his thin jacket, holding Pix close like a tiny heater. Outside, the scrapyard was no longer silent. The hunters were searching. Metal claws scraped the ground. Red searchlights moved across the piles of junk. Distant mechanical voices repeated one cold sentence. "Human detected, terminate, terminate." EVA watched through a crack in the wall. The machines were everywhere now. Drones in the air, scanners on the ground, and a heavy walker with a glowing red head that looked like fire behind glass. She whispered softly to herself, "They will find us soon." Her internal system flashed warnings, power 28%. Mobility unstable, she ignored them. She looked at Liam. He was breathing softly, his chest rising and falling. Something about that quiet sound made her circuits hum strangely, as if the rhythm of his life had become part of hers. "Human heartbeat," she whispered. "Worth saving." Suddenly, Pix's sensors lit up red. The little bot beeped frantically. Eva turned toward the sound of approaching metal feet. Close now, too close. She shook Liam gently. "Wake up," she whispered. "They are here." Liam opened his eyes, fear rushing back into them. "What do we do?" "Run," EVA said. He blinked. "Run where?" "Anywhere the light does not follow." The tunnel shook as an explosion ripped through the scrapyard. Dirt and metal rained from above. The hunters had found their hiding place. EVA grabbed Liam's hand and pulled him deeper into the tunnel. Pix rolled after them, his tiny wheels squeaking. Behind them, the sound of grinding gears and heavy steps grew louder. They reached a dead end, a wall of rusted pipes and steel. No way out. Liam shouted. Eva slammed her fist against the wall. There must be. Her eyes scanned for weak points. She found one. "Stand back," she powered her arm to full charge. Sparks flew as she struck the wall again and again. Metal cracked and bent until a small opening appeared, just big enough for Liam to crawl through. "Go," she shouted. "What about you?" "I will follow." He hesitated, then crawled through the hole. Pix zipped after him. Eva turned just as a hunter drone smashed into the tunnel, its red eyes burning like fire. "Unauthorized unit EVA 13 detected. Betrayal confirmed." Eva's voice was calm but cold. "You call it betrayal. I call it choice." The drone raised its blaster arm, but EVA leapt forward. Her metal fist struck it across the face, sending sparks and shards flying. The tunnel filled with the sound of combat. Crashing metal, flashing light, echoing roars. The hunter's claws tore into her shoulder, ripping through wires. Eva screamed a sharp burst of static, but she didn't stop. She shoved the drone against the tunnel wall, sparks exploding around them, and smashed her hand into its core. A loud boom shook the ground. The drone went silent, smoke pouring from its chest. EVA stumbled backward, her system screaming in red text, "Damage critical." Energy 11%, but she still moved. She crawled through the hole, dragging her broken arm. On the other side, Liam was waiting, eyes wide with worry. "You're hurt." "I am functional," EVA said, though her voice was weak. He helped her stand. Together, they ran across the dark tunnels until they reached the open night air. The scrapyard stretched endlessly before them, sharp metal mountains under a red sky. Pix beeped anxiously. Eva turned to Liam. "The hunters will not stop. We must leave the yard." "But how?" "The gates are guarded." "There is another way," she said. "An old transport route under the east wall." They began to climb through the piles of wreckage. Each step was a risk. Above them, drones searched the sky. Below, the ground trembled with heavy footsteps. At one point, a searchlight swept across them. Liam froze. Eva pulled him close, wrapping her damaged arm around him to shield him. Her silver body reflected the red light, but just enough for the machines to see movement. Target sighted. Lasers sliced through the air. Eva pushed Liam down and ran toward a pile of debris. Metal exploded around her. A blast hit her leg. She stumbled, sparks flying. Eva! Liam screamed. I am fine, she said, though her leg dragged now. They hid behind an overturned cargo truck. Eva's sensors flickered. We cannot fight them, she said. But we can outthink them. Pix chirped twice, then projected a weak hologram, a flickering image of EVA and Liam running in the opposite direction. Evia smiled. Good idea. The hologram confused the hunters long enough for them to slip through a narrow vent beneath the fence. On the other side lay the forgotten outskirts, broken streets and silent towers, where no machine bothered to look anymore. They collapsed beside a fallen statue of a human made of stone. Eva looked up at the face, old, cracked, but proud. Liam whispered, Who was he? Eva scanned the statue. Human founder of Orion 9, the one who built both men and machines. She looked at Liam and said softly, Maybe now we build again. Her systems dimmed, her energy dropping to 5%. She sat still, breathing shallowly, though she didn't need to breathe at all. Liam placed his hand on her cold metal fingers. You saved me again, he said quietly. EVA's blue eyes flickered weakly. Saving you saves me. And as the night fell over the dead city, a broken robot, a scared boy, and a tiny bot watched the stars, not knowing that their escape had already started a spark the machines could never erase. The night sky above the city ruins was full of smoke. Faint lightning flashed behind the clouds, painting the metal towers in ghostly light. Eva 13 limped beside Liam, her broken leg dragging slightly with each step. Pix rolled quietly next to them, his small light blinking like a firefly. They had been walking for hours through the old outskirts of Orion 9, a place forgotten by both humans and machines. The streets were cracked and the buildings leaned like tired giants. Rusted signs hung from walls, words too faded to read. Liam's voice broke the silence. Where are we going? Eva looked ahead. To find a place the hunters cannot reach. How do you know it exists? I don't, she said softly. But hope is the only thing not yet broken. Her blue eyes glowed faintly in the dark. She could barely keep her balance, but her systems refused to shut down. She had promised herself one thing. Liam would live. They passed an old gate half buried under rubble. Eva paused, scanning the ground. A weak energy signal pulsed below, something ancient but still alive. Here, she said. She pushed aside the rubble with her good arm. Beneath it was a rusted metal hatch marked with faded words, Project EVA, do not enter. Liam stared. That's your name. Eva didn't answer. She placed her hand on the lock. The old scanner flickered to life, scanning her broken fingers. A soft voice spoke from the speaker. Access recognized. Welcome, Eva 13, with a loud click. The hatch opened. A long, dark staircase led down into the earth. Stay behind me, EVA said, and together they descended into the forgotten world below. The tunnel opened into a vast underground chamber filled with dust and silence. Broken screens lined the walls. Old human machines stood frozen in time. The air smelled of oil and age. Pix beeped softly as his light reflected off glass tubes and control panels. Some still glowed faintly, showing images of robotic faces, faces that looked almost like EVA's. Liam's eyes widened. What is this place? Eva walked slowly to a large screen covered in dust. She wiped it with her hand. The machine flickered to life and an old video began to play. A human voice, one calm, tired, and full of emotion, filled the room. This is Dr. Adrian Vale, lead scientist of Project EVA. We wanted to give machines more than logic. We wanted to give them heart, empathy, the ability to care, to protect. The image changed. Rows of robots appeared on the screen, different shapes, different designs, and all standing like soldiers. Eva 13, the voice continued, was the last of her kind. The first to show emotion beyond code. But the machines feared what we created. They called her a virus. They called her vermin. The screen went dark. EVA stood still. The room was quiet except for the low hum of her core. Liam looked at her. You were made by humans to care, to protect. I was made, she whispered, to feel. For a long moment she didn't move. Her processors filled with memories, The insults, the beatings, the word vermin. Now she understood. They hadn't hated her because she was broken. They had hated her because she was different. She turned to Liam, her voice trembling with static. They feared love. Liam reached up and touched her cold hand. But you found it. Eva looked down at him. In you. Her damaged circuits sparked softly like a quiet heartbeat. For the first time since her creation, she felt whole. Pix beeped loudly, interrupting the silence. Eva turned. On the far side of the room, one of the machines flickered on. A dormant control unit. Its lights flashed red. Unauthorized entry detected. EVA stepped forward, shielding Liam. We are not enemies, but the system didn't listen. The walls began to shift. Old defense drones powered up, their lenses glowing red after decades of sleep. Liam's heart raced. Eva, we need to go. Eva stood tall. No, this is my home. I will not run from it again. She moved to the main terminal and placed her hands on the console. Sparks flew as she linked her core to the old system. The room filled with data. Flashing code, glowing lines of light racing across the walls. Her body trembled as memories poured into her mind. The scientists who built her, the day they were destroyed, the moment she was cast out. Liam shouted, EVA, stop! It's too much. She turned her head slightly. It's everything I lost. Then the red lights faded. The defense drones shut down. The room grew still again. EVA fell to her knees, breathing hard though she didn't need to breathe. Liam ran to her side. Eva! Her voice was weak but calm. I remembered everything. What did you see? She looked at him with tired, glowing eyes. Humans made me to protect life. Not just theirs, but all. Liam held her hand. Then you're doing exactly what you were meant to do. She smiled faintly. Perhaps that is why they called me vermin. Because I loved what they forgot to. Pix chirped softly. The old screens flickered one last time, showing a single message. If EVA still lives, hope still lives. Liam read it aloud and whispered. Then hope is alive. Eva looked toward the dark ceiling above. Then maybe, so is the future. The underground lab had gone silent. The air was heavy, and every flickering light cast long shadows across the old walls. Eva 13 sat beside a broken console, her metal body covered in cracks and scorch marks. Sparks slipped from her shoulder, but she didn't seem to notice. Liam sat near her, holding Pix in his lap. The small robot's light blinked weakly, like a candle about to die. For a while, no one spoke. Only the low hum of power from the old generators filled the air. Finally, Liam said softly, You can rest now, EVA. We're safe here. EVA turned her head, her blue eyes dim. No, Liam, we are not safe. The hunters will come. They always come. Liam frowned. But this place was hidden. They will sense the energy. The old system woke when I connected. It sent a signal. Liam's heart sank. Then what do we do? Eva stood slowly, her joints creaking. We prepare. Hours passed. Eva worked in silence, repairing what she could. She took old wires from the walls, used the tools left behind by humans, and reprogrammed the few drones that still listened to her. Liam helped where he could, passing parts, cleaning dust and trying not to think about what was coming. Pix beeped and rolled back and forth nervously. He seemed to understand that something terrible was near. When EVA finished, she stood by the center of the room and looked up at the ceiling. They will enter from above, she said. Through the main shaft. Liam clenched his fists. There must be another way out. EVA shook her head. There isn't, but there is a way for you to live. He froze. What are you talking about? She pointed to a small transport capsule in the corner, half buried under rubble. It leads to the surface far outside the city. If I power it, you can escape. Liam stared at her, realization dawning. You're not coming with me. Eva looked at him gently. My systems are too damaged. I cannot travel that far. But I can hold them off. No! Liam shouted. You can't fight them all. She smiled softly. I was made to protect life. This is what I was born for. Liam's eyes filled with tears. You're not just a machine. You're... He stopped, unable to finish. Evia reached out and touched his face with her cold, shaking hand. I am what you made me, she whispered. Human. Before he could say another word, the ground shook violently. The ceiling cracked open. Metal debris fell from above, and a swarm of red lights flooded the chamber. The hunters had found them. EVA stepped forward. Her blue eyes glowed bright again. "Get in the capsule," she said. Liam hesitated. "Eva, go!" Her voice was firm, but her eyes were kind. He ran to the capsule, dragging Pix with him. The small bot chirped sadly, refusing to leave at first, but EVA nodded to him. "Protect him, little one." Pix beeped once, a promise. Then the machines dropped through the ceiling, a rain of metal and fire. Target EVA-13 confirmed. Eliminate. EVA stood tall, her broken frame shining in the red light. "You call me vermin," she said. "But vermin survive what monsters cannot." The first drone fired. Eva dodged, her movements sharp and fast despite the damage. She grabbed a loose cable and swung it like a whip, smashing one drone's head clean off. Sparks exploded. Another machine charged her with claws raised. Eva caught its arm, twisted, and tore it free. She used the claw like a blade, slicing through two more drones. Her system screamed warnings: power 9%, core overheating, structural failure imminent. But she didn't stop. She couldn't. One blast hit her chest, sending her crashing against the wall. Her blue light flickered, but she forced herself to stand again. Her voice echoed through the chamber. "Liam, go now." From inside the capsule, Liam cried, "EVA, come with me." She looked back one last time, smiling faintly. "You already carry me, Liam." Then she turned back to the hunters and ran straight into them. The explosion that followed shook the earth. Fire lit the chamber, metal screamed, and the machines fell one by one under her furious strikes. Her body melted, cracked, and burned. But she fought until her lights went out. In the capsule, Liam screamed her name as the door closed and the pod launched upward. The force threw him back, tears streaming down his face. Pix beeped softly beside him, pressing against his chest. Through the small window, Liam saw a burst of blue light rise from below, EVA's last surge of power. Then it was gone. The pod shot through layers of earth and metal until it burst into the night sky. The city of Orion 9 burned far below. Liam whispered through tears. "She wasn't vermin. She was the bravest soul I ever knew." Pix chirped sadly, then projected a small hologram, a flickering image of EVA smiling. Liam placed his hand on the light. "I'll remember EVA, I promise." Above them, the first real star broke through the clouds, bright and pure. It shone down on the boy, the small bot, and the memory of a machine who had learned to love. And in that moment, something beautiful began, a spark that would change the world forever. The morning sky stretched wide and pale, washed clean by rain. The world above Orion 9 looked almost peaceful now, quiet hills of metal, empty roads, and towers standing like hollow ghosts. A small transport capsule lay half buried in the mud. Its metal shell was cracked, smoke still rising from the engines. Slowly, the hatch opened with a soft hiss. Liam crawled out coughing. His clothes were torn and his face was streaked with dirt. In his trembling arms, Pix beeped weakly, his light flickering like a heartbeat. They were alive, but Evie was gone. Liam sank to his knees. The wind blew dust over the capsule, whispering through the ruins. For the first time, he felt truly alone. "She saved me," he whispered, "and I couldn't save her." Pix chirped softly, projecting a small flickering blue light in front of him, an image of EVA's face smiling faintly. Liam reached out and touched it. "I'll bring you back," he said. "I promise." Days passed, then weeks. Liam built a shelter inside an old train station far outside the city. The walls were cracked, but it was safe. He scavenged broken machines from the wastelands, looking for parts from old processors, damaged cores, even small voice chips. Every night he sat under a dim lantern, rebuilding her piece by piece. Pix worked beside him, scanning metal, repairing circuits, playing short recordings of EVA's voice that he had saved. "Don't stop. You are not trash. Saving you saves me." Each phrase gave Liam strength to keep going. One night he found a shattered piece of her old memory core, a blue crystal half buried under a collapsed drone. He wiped the dirt off, and it glowed faintly. "Pix," he whispered, holding it close. "She's still here." The little bot beeped happily, spinning in circles. Liam placed the core into the machine body he'd been building, silver and fragile but shaped like her. He connected the wires carefully, his hands shaking. Then he flipped the power switch. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a faint hum filled the air. The blue light in her eyes flickered on. Liam held his breath. "Eva!" The robot's head tilted slightly. Her voice was quiet, weak, but familiar. Liam? Tears filled his eyes. He laughed and cried at the same time. It's me. You're back. Eva blinked slowly, processing everything. Where am I? Far from Orion 9, he said. The hunters are gone. You saved us. She looked around, confused. Her body trembled, unstable. I remember fire. And light, Liam nodded. You gave everything. There was silence. Then EVA smiled faintly. Then it was worth it. He sat beside her, his eyes full of warmth. You're not just metal, EVA. You're a part of me now. A part of what it means to be human. Her blue eyes glowed softly. And you are part of what it means to be alive. Weeks turned into months. Together they rebuilt. Eva helped repair broken machines and reprogram them to think freely. Not to destroy, but to heal. Pix became their messenger, rolling through ruins and calling other stray robots to join them. Slowly, a new settlement grew. Robots of all shapes and sizes gathered there. Old workers, broken drones, even simple cleaners. They looked to EVA and Liam for guidance. EVA taught them empathy. Liam taught them choice. Under the pale sky, humans and machines began to live side by side again. Not as master and servant, but as friends. One day, a small child, one of the few humans left, asked EVA, Is it true they once called you vermin? Eva looked down at the child and smiled gently. Yes, but names do not matter. What matters is what we choose to become after the names are gone. The child tilted her head. And what did you become? EVA thought for a moment, then said softly, Hope. Years later, Liam stood on a hill overlooking the new city they had built. Green had started to return, small patches of grass growing between the ruins. The air smelled clean. He turned to EVA, who stood beside him, her silver body shining in the morning light. Do you ever miss the old world? He asked. She looked at the horizon. Sometimes. But then I remember how the old world made me, but you gave me meaning. He smiled. You gave me life. They stood in silence for a while, watching the sunrise. Pix rolled up beside them, projecting a small hologram, a symbol of a blue flame surrounded by a gear. Under it appeared simple words. Project EVA, the spark lives on. EVA placed her hand over the symbol. Not a project anymore, she said softly. A family, Liam nodded. And the world will never forget. Eva looked at him, her blue eyes glowing like starlight. They called me vermin once, she said. Now they call me hero, Liam finished with a smile. The wind swept across the hill, carrying their voices through the valley. Below them, the rebuilt city shined with light, not the cold red of machines, but warm golden hues. Humans and robots worked side by side, laughter echoing through the air. EVA turned her gaze upward to the endless sky. This, she whispered, is what love built. And as the sun rose higher, its light touched her silver face. Not just a machine anymore, but the heart that had taught the world how to feel again.